Hello, everybody. We are back once more for In Full Stride. I'm Carson Gambaro here with the birthday boy, Noah Tindale. How you doing, man?
What's up, Carson? It's a pleasure to be here with you and knocking this out today. It's been awesome to see what you're doing with your podcast and all your fans and runners and coaches and everything, and happy to be here.
To all my fans, I would very much appreciate it if you all wish Noah a happy birthday in the comments section below. Dude, welcome to 24. How does it feel?
Not quite there yet. I'm still 23. Got a few more days, but I guess when this comes out.
Yes.
So I'll be able to let everybody know how it feels then. I'm sure it'll feel great.
Yeah. We always love keeping our fans updated with our guests, but you're an interesting guest that I've been wanting to bring on for a while because you're actually the first guest that I would say is in a bit of a similar state of your athletics career to me, right?
Sure.
Unretired, I guess, would be a way that I would describe it. What would you use to describe your current state with the sport?
Whew. Man, that's a really good question. I don't know if I've actually thought through that a whole heck of a lot. Yeah, I would say there's this weird mix of being like done with competing from the sport. You know, obviously high school was a time of competition, college was a time of competition, and then once college was done and I stepped away from the sport, I retired in the sense of like I was done from competing, but I never really feel like I retired in my heart. So I'd say a mix of supporter, spectator, and certainly coach, which is something that I do now, still in the track and field world. So I never really will retire, but in some ways it does feel like it's ended from the past.
Yeah, it's sort of something that I was talking about in my last episode with Colin Gilstrap, how it seems like one of those things running that you can never really let go of, even if your relationship with the sport changes over time. And that's why I've really wanted to bring you on, because your relationship with the sport has taken so many twists and turns, and like you indicated, it's far from done from taking those twists and turns. So would you want to give us a little bit of a synopsis of where you've been and how you got to where you are now with running?
I would love to. It's an honor and a privilege, Carson. Thanks for asking. Yeah, my relationship with running in some form has always been amazing. Running has always been one of those things in my life, among other things, but one of the things that's kind of grounded me in my discipline in life, I would say. And so from the time I was little, whether it was going to practices with my dad coached at Burnox Westerlo for a number of years, coached a state champion in the steeplechase and a couple of state qualifying cross-country teams. So I was always around it at a young age. So whether it was then or throughout high school actually competing, or now into coaching high school athletes and doing some mentorship as well, running has always been something that has given me a little bit of that like practical purpose in life. I think, all of us kind of have skills that we can use for practical purposes, and then other skills that we can use for other purposes, big picture things. And for me, running has been the thing that has kind of grounded me in reality, in a sense, to stay focused on the day-to-day disciplines of staying healthy and keeping my mind engaged, and then of course building friendships on the way. So that's kind of the big picture of what running has meant to me. And of course, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but along the journey, there's been specific ins and outs and lessons that I've learned and that I want to share with others, no doubt.
And some that you discovered rather earlier in your athletics career, like some of those practical skills. I mean, you are a 4-time New York State class record holder. When it comes to the 800, you got the freshman and 8th grade state record holders in the 8 and the mile. So you found out what you could be rather early in your career. And as we've heard, it was quite a whirlwind, wasn't it?
Yeah, whirlwind is one way to put it. And I think with a whirlwind, there's excitement that comes from new things. There's excitement that comes from being successful at what you've put your heart and soul into. And then there's also navigating some of the effects of that too, especially at a young age. You had mentioned those state records, 8th grade, state record holder in the 800 and 1600, and then in 9th grade in the 1600 and 800 as well. All of the success that I achieved in 8th and 9th grade came from loving the sport when I was younger. Like, I didn't just wake up when I was in 8th grade and just step on the track and knock it out. It all came from even years of training, quote unquote, when I was in elementary school and doing things with the high school kids at BKW. And my dad has been a coach his whole life as well, so he was always kind of the one, being a step ahead of where I was at and forming the way that I would grow as an athlete. And so the success that came early on was in large part due to the fact that I had some of that training before. But that being said, when you are in 8th and 9th grade, and if any of you are watching here and you've had tremendous success at a young age, you know that in 8th and 9th grade you're just beginning to grow into who you are as a person. And so while there was a foundation for my athletic journey, to be at a high level at a young age, I also had to learn how to maintain that into 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. I also had to learn what place running fell into my life, and I kind of went through a journey there of figuring out where my identity lied in my life, and so whirlwind is a good way to put it, because there was a mix of this incredible success, which I will always take with me, and certainly the teammates and the coaches that went with that. But there was also this understanding of, I can't make running everything in my life, because I'll actually, end up, over focusing on things instead of seeing that bigger picture. So, that's kind of a brief synopsis of that journey. I mean, I'm happy to go into more specifics. But
Yeah. But kind of piggybacking off of that, right? When you burst onto the scene, that caught a lot of people's attention. Yeah. I mean, the company that I do freelance interviews for and commentary and whatnot, Mile Split, I mean, they were hawking you down at every meet. I mean, you were getting all these fun interviews in. You were having articles published about you. There was even speculation when you ran 4:14, out-kicking Mazen Ahmed, a future Georgetown Hoya who was many years older than 2 years older than you at the time. But still, he was a veteran and you were the rookie, out-kicking him to the line and running 4:14. There was legitimate talk of you going on to be the first New Yorker to break 4 as a high schooler.
4 years, I want to break 4 in the line. That's a big goal. So that is a solid goal that we all expect to see. Yeah.
And that's not me to give you any regretful memories or not, because I'm sure, are there times, I'm going to ask you right now, are there times where you still think about, what if I went on to be that sub-4 miler that everybody predicted me to be?
Yeah, I have no regrets from my high school career and the lessons that I took from it. I think there was certainly a hope and a desire to, break 4 minutes in the mile. It's funny. I wanted to break 4 minutes in the mile, but my heart actually throughout high school was I actually wanted to break 150 in the 800. Most people don't know that about me. But my main heart was in the 800. But when it came to the mile, I'd say I, hoped that I would end up doing that. And, But I have no regrets in terms of how fast I ran, because I think I learned other lessons in terms of leadership with the team, in terms of kind of preparing myself for college as well, and kind of going through that process of choosing a school and all of those things. It ended up being the way that it was supposed to, but I do recall, after I ran. I think I ran 4:24 or something like that at the New Balance Nationals out in I think it was Greensboro, North Carolina. I won that race. I think I actually ran 4:31 in that race or something like that.
Yeah, that was the middle school one.
Yeah, the middle school mile. I won by quite a bit. But earlier that season, I think I had run 4:24 or something like that.
Yeah, that was the Suburbans.
Yeah.
Another race that you won.
Yeah, and that was a tight race, I remember, against one of the Shaker kids out there. But I do remember at that point, after having so much success, I remember being excited to improve. And I do remember looking at the letsrun.com forums and, all these people kind of saying this guy is going to be the one to break 4. And there were also some comments about he shouldn't be running that fast when he's so young, he's going to burn out. And all of that did certainly dwell within me in a negative way, right? I had to learn how to tune out the noise, the good and the bad. And I had to learn along the way that I need to choose to do this sport because I enjoy getting better and have my reason on doing it. And so whether everybody else's expectations actually happen for me, it doesn't matter because I have my own expectations to fulfill along the way. So would it have been nice to break 4? I think so. But at the same time, my good friend Nick Soldevere got to do that, after high school. And so I was a part of helping him to grow as an athlete in high school, and it was nice to kind of pass the baton to him. So yeah. I don't see that as a loss at all, no.
No, absolutely, and especially when you consider, huge shout out to my guy Nick Nitro, 6 years with the Iona Men of Run.
He's old, man. He's watching this. Yeah. He's old. I think he's time to retire.
The washed up early 20s gang, here we are. But when you consider him, I mean, you guys had so many great relays together, the 4x8s, the 4x4s, even if it wasn't that, tantalizing career that was once slated to be, you still got to make some good positive memories out of it. And that's I think a good way to look back on it rather than just getting caught up in all the firestorm, right?
Yeah, that's super accurate. And I'm glad you bring up the relays because I think the staple of my high school career ended up having nothing to do with the individual events, although there were some really good ones in there. I ran 152 at the state meet as a sophomore, and certainly the 414 as a freshman, and various things throughout the upperclassmen years. But I think the staple of my high school career were the relays for sure. In 8th grade, I believe we had a 745 4x8 crew. It was me and Noah Carey, who went on to be a great athlete in college, and a couple other guys, Drew and John. And I think we were right behind Shen actually at that state meet.
The school you currently coach at.
Yes, the school I currently coach at, and I remember all those guys too. They're great dudes. But very early on, we made an impact in the relays. Whether it was 4x8, I went to the state meet several times in the 4x8, several times in the 4x4. That gave me the most purpose for sure, and it was just fun because you have the ability to do something as a team. And then it actually made me more motivated for my individual events because you knew you had other guys cheering you on. So no doubt.
Weren't you put on anchor for the 4x4 as a freshman?
Yes. Yep. I was anchor for the 4x4 all of high school.
Yeah.
I mean, there were probably a few times we rotated it, but usually I was the closer in both the 4x8 and the 4x4. That was a great team that freshman year. We did make the state meet. Did not do too well at the state level, but we had a good group. It was me and I think it was 3 other seniors. Also great guys that I remember really well. But freshman year.
Was that state qualifying race where you guys did the dances after for the interview?
Yep, that's the one. And then we ended up recreating it. I think it was senior year with the 4x8 or 4x4 group. I don't totally remember, but
yeah,
a lot of dancing for sure.
I'm just going to show those clips for you guys right now just to take you down a little trip because, again, it wasn't all harsh memories. I mean, obviously, when you have a relationship with a sport like track and field, it can have its ups, it can have its downs. It can have you almost telling yourself what you should be doing rather than what you should actually be doing. So how did you find out rather what it was that you should be doing rather than what the world would have wanted you to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I love answering that question because it's core to who I am now and even the career that I have now. I would say the stabilizing force in running and in everything that I do and did was my relationship with Jesus. I was a Christian when I was young, but I always kind of struggled, kind of placing all of my identity in sports and then feeling empty inside. And so, I would run fast times, as I've mentioned, and at the time, I'd put so much of my identity in it to where if I didn't continue to run that exact time or win certain races, it would crush me. And it would crush me at practice the next week, and I'd try to work harder and get out of it. And I think the reality was God was tugging at my heart to say, you're going to be a great athlete, and that's totally fine. But I'm trying to actually take you deeper with me to show that I love you, as God. He was speaking that to me. So I work at a church now. I work with youth and young adults, and I share the gospel with them. And so it is a huge driving force in how I approach coaching as well. Like I want our athletes to know that. yes, their times are important, and certainly, preparing for college, and if you're interested in, running at the D1 level, there is certainly a level of work and a level of discipline you have to put into it. But at the end of the day, you can't force results. And when the results fail, there are certainly character attributes that you have to fall back to as to why do you do this sport. And so for me, my why was I do it because it's a way that I get to give God glory for how he's made me. And that took the pressure off to perform. And it was more of I can go out now, and if I race well or if I fail, I'm still loved by the creator of the universe. And that totally changed my perspective, certainly, sophomore, junior, senior year, as I'm grappling with maybe not improving in my times as much as I wanted to and starting to think about college. I really let God have his way. And it's made me the person who I am today. And it's why I can look back and have such great memories on my career.
I've got to say a very quick thank you to the Princetown Church for housing this episode. They were kind enough to let us use their youth room where Noah holds the Rock Life Ministries on Wednesday nights for the youth groups, like that age where you were in your high school career, kids in that age, not just athletes, but for young high schoolers. And I think one really important thing, not just about the running community, but finding a sense of community, is finding that sense of reassurance, right? Because, I'm an unretired athlete. I still train to break my PRs. I've beaten some, but my main event, the 400, is the one that I haven't. I'll tell people all the time, this is going to be my year. If I just train for it, if I just do this, if I do that. And it still hasn't happened, but they still have shown me such great support and warmth every time I see them, despite the fact that I haven't broken that PR like I keep telling them that I'm going to. So I think that's just an important reminder that the Lord can give us, that our community is here to look out for each other.
Amen, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'd totally echo all of that. And yeah, this is just an opportunity. I think running provides an opportunity for more than just running at the end of the day. Certainly it's an opportunity for community, right? Like if we were to run on our own and train to be great, we would do okay, but I think we would lose some of the motivation because the sport is hard, right? And we need each other to lift each other up. And I think that's a picture of what the gospel is, that, Jesus came to save us from our sins and puts us into right community with him and right community with others. And so it's certainly for me, it's the driving force of all that I do in my life. And I've seen a lot of benefit from it. Yeah.
I think a great example of what you just said can be seen with two athletes. I'm not going to mention them by name. If they get to this point in the episode, they will know exactly who they are. But two athletes who you coached last year, who were very set on the beginning of the season of just beating each other, trying to get to that line before the other person. And by season's end, from cross country all the way to outdoor, they were more focused on working together and pushing each other and making each other better. And I think whatever you want to attribute that to, you could definitely see that growth.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you will be a better athlete. You'll be a better person. You'll be a better friend, whatever you want to be better at, you'll be better with somebody on the team with you. And there's friendly competition within that, right? No doubt. I remember days with my buddy Nick, where we were going at it with each other in terms of like, we want to be faster together. And so there's a challenge of, if Nick's getting faster, I want to get faster. If Noah's getting faster, I want to get faster. Or if my younger brother's getting faster, I want to get faster, and so on. There's a positive way to view that, as opposed to I have to be faster than this other athlete because it's so tightly wound in my identity, and if I'm not as good. It's like we got to learn to let that go as athletes and say, even if I'm not the best on this team, I'm helping somebody else to be better. And that's, I think, the aim of really everything. It should be the aim of everything in life, and it's certainly a challenge to do that and not let pride get in the way. But yeah, that's what I'd say about that. What about for you, Carson, and even in your running career, and even for you as an announcer or podcaster, how important for you is it to know that you have people supporting you in your journey?
I think it's great because personally, I'm someone who obsesses over all of the fine details. I do extensive prep for almost all of the broadcasts or anything that I'm going to do that is going to go out in public, airwaves, airspaces, whatever you have it. I do so much preparatory work, and I still make mistakes. I still flub up all the time. And the standard that I feel like our sport of track and field is lacking in broadcasts is that attention to detail. And so I try and provide that when I mess up. Sometimes I'll be the one kicking myself at home when even when I step outside, I'll still have people supporting me as if it never happened, as if even though I made that mistake, they still believe in me, they still want me to succeed. And sort of like we touched upon earlier with me placing these expectations on myself athletically, but professionally as well, it very much applies.
I love it, man. I love it. Because I think sometimes even for you, like, it's easy for us to look at Carson and be like, he's crushing it on his own, which he is. But a main reason why he's able to do it is certainly because he has the support, underneath you and alongside of you to do it. And so none of us are a one man or one woman show, right?
No, not at all. And that's why I think we seek to bring people together using the sport, and not just the sport, but the community with the sport. I feel like social media, yes, it can be a toxic thing at times, but it allows everybody to come together. I mean, one thing that is so reassuring to me is whenever, let's say, somebody makes their big college decision, one thing that you had to experience one day, the entire rest of the local, even beyond local, there'd be athletes from other corners of the state, even other states entirely, coming to just say a simple congrats. And even just something so simple as that can brighten someone's day and make them feel like all the work and thought and attention that they've been putting into what they've been doing is worth it.
Yeah, 100%, man.
What is one eye-opening experience that you've had while you've coached these past couple of years?
Yeah, so man, that's a great question. I would say there are a lot of similarities in being an athlete and a coach. Like, for instance, I wouldn't be able to coach well if I didn't have the background of experience to be the athlete. I think one of the advantages that I have as an early coach at this point is that I am able to understand maybe the feelings and the thoughts and the expectations that my athletes are putting on themselves so that I can step into the world, because I've lived it before. And so there's a lot of similarities, but off of that, there's definitely differences, right? Like, I am no longer on the team racing. And so as much as I feel the excitement of practice and feel the excitement of racing and getting to the meets, I have to be able to say, my athletes need me to be strong today, because they're going to feel all the anxiety and the nerves. And so I have to come in with a little bit of a different attitude of, okay, I'm not the one competing. I need to put my energy towards helping my athletes prep to compete. And there is a different mindset there that I think as a coach, I'm learning how to navigate. But over the last 2 years, it's been a blast being able to start doing some coaching. I guess I would use the term coaching career, because it's something, it's definitely is something that I do professionally. It also is something that I love to do for fun. I enjoy just pouring back into programs like Guilderland, who gave so much to me in high school, and to be able to start there was a huge blessing, and to really say thank you even to the coaches for what they did and learn a little bit from them, and then to also do that at Shen now, and have a little bit of a different role there with middle distance athletes. It's been a learning process, and it's fun. It's fun for me. So I'd say the biggest takeaway that I've had from the last 2 years has been just like how learning to train your muscles as an athlete and work different systems, fast twitch, slow twitch, rep work, tempo work, easy work, and that takes years. I think coaching is the same way. You're training your mind to be able to see all the different dynamics for the athletes. And I'm in a whole new learning process with that now. It's 2 years in. It's like I've been the athlete before, so I have that. But every year that goes on, I'm learning this about this athlete, or these group of athletes need this, and how does that play mentally? And it's a process for sure, and I love the process. So my biggest takeaway is that I don't know a whole heck of a lot, and I need to keep learning.
Yeah. And another thing that you said you're sort of still learning is how to find your place with the sport in a non-competitive state, right? It's something that, as we've seen throughout this episode, has been ever evolving. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to be doing athletically at the age of 30. I mean, that's going to be here before we know it, but just got to stay along for the ride and see what happens. So for athletes that come at those crossroads, what would you say to them as you are now?
Yeah, I mean, primarily I think your audience is mainly, you got some Section 2 athletes in here and New York athletes. There's different categories here. I'd say for the athlete who is kind of looking at next steps for college and beyond, there's a lot of excitement that comes from that, and there's also a lot of nerves. And I would say be present as much as you can where you are in high school. Yes, you're going to make a decision to go to whatever school you want to go to. And yes, in some sense, you can make a wrong decision in some ways, if there's not a program that's for you or the team is too harsh. But don't make the choice to go to college the thing that controls you in high school. You are never, ever, ever going to get the opportunity to be 14, 15, 16 again. And so, again, the best memories that I have from high school are being present with the team. And I remember more from the relay races and watching somebody else race well than I even do from my own stuff. And that came in large part because I was not so focused on, am I going to go here? Am I going to go there? Granted, I kind of knew where I wanted to go in junior year. I knew I wanted to go to Liberty so I could study ministry and also be at a higher D1 school. So that was helpful to know, and I didn't have to go through as much of a stressful process. But to that person, I would say, you're going to be okay, right? Like, I think there's this huge pressure to figure everything out before you get to college and then even while you start college. And the reality is, I don't have my life figured out yet, and I'm post-college. And so much has changed over the last 4 or 5 years. So be willing and open to your coach's advice, your parents' advice, and your teammates' advice on what that one next step looks like. So that's what I'd say for college athletes. For everybody else who's just doing it, to get better at the sport, put more effort into being all in than you might think that you should. I think sometimes track can be seen as a sport, especially in high school, where it's a sport where nobody gets cut, and that's certainly an awesome thing. But don't use it just as a social event. Use it as an opportunity to train yourself to at least learn disciplines and routines and ways that will train you for other things, whether it is mental training for school in the future or whatever. Don't waste that opportunity because you're going to gain some lessons for it. So I say those are two pieces of advice that I give athletes depending on their category. Yeah.
I really like that last one that you gave out because I feel like it speaks to me, right? Using aspects of the sport to translate into your daily life, whether it be from a fitness perspective or just from a youthful perspective. One of the best pieces of advice that I've been given is to not waste my youth. I mean, I'm 24 right now, as you are about to turn by the drop of this episode.
I'm old, man. It's happening. I can't stop it.
I still pass for a high schooler when I go around, and whether that be because of my baby face or just because of my youthful personality, whatever it be, got to hold on to it.
Hold on to it, man. Yeah, don't waste it.
And that other point that you made about understanding how the sport can benefit you, that's one thing that I didn't quite grasp in high school, but ever since I picked the sport back up on my own, doing my own track workouts, I mean, that takes some serious proactivity versus, not to discount stepping in the gym and developing a routine there, but you had to go off the beaten path to really find what you're passionate about sometimes, and that's one thing that I feel has led me to the point where I'm at with the sport. Did you feel like there were any moments where you had to go a bit off the beaten path to find your way to where you are with the sport?
Ooh, yeah, I love that question too. You ask good questions, Carson.
I came up with that one on the fly, so yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, I would say my whole running career, I had to go off the beaten path. Again, if I had just focused on running times and getting things done, having easy runs be this way and that way, whatever. If I just focused on that, I would have hated the sport. I think I had to go off the beaten path in the sense that I had to get involved in, again, other things outside the sport, right? I needed to hang out with my friends on the team and then my friends outside the team at church or, family friends or things like that. I had to get my mind off of what I was doing so that I could go back into it better for sure. I was giving a little lesson to our middle distance team at Shen the other day. We were talking about the eustress and de-stress curve. I don't know if you ever heard of this.
Humor me.
Yeah. So there's this picture of this curve where the optimal mental and emotional state of an athlete is when you have just enough motivation to where you can manage it well. You have just enough motivation, and that increases your behavioral efficiency, which all that means is there's a level of eustress or good stress that if you manage it really well, it's not that you're going to have no stress on the starting line. It's not that you're going to be completely stressed on the starting line. You are able to manage, I'm like pumped up for this and motivated, but I'm not too excited to where I'm not thinking rationally about the race. And so even things like that, like breaking down the mechanics of the race and the mechanics of how to handle a race mentally, helped go off the beaten path in the sense that, I know I'm not just getting on the line and I'm like, oh, I got to handle my emotions and my mentality. No, that there are ways that I can be in that optimal eustress zone and stay out of the things that are causing a lot of stress. And so for me, I was always on like the hyper de-stress end. I'm just like really hard on myself all the time. And so I had to learn, like in a race environment, the needle's going to be past that optimal zone. And so I had to learn, like, okay, how do I bring that back? Well, it's probably doing things that calm my system down, right? Like listening to calming music, tossing the ball around with some friends, getting out of the race environment and maybe not watching some races because it's engaging my mind to race when I'm not doing it for another 3 hours. And so some of those things, like deepening my knowledge of the sport, right, and certainly helping athletes to do that now. But those things in high school, whether it was my dad as my coach sharing things, or the other coaches there, just watching seminars online or other athletes talk, the more that you deepen your knowledge of the sport, you're gonna enjoy it more because you see that it's not just going as fast as you can go, that there's ways to actually break things down and process it in manageable chunks.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I had to discover along my journey to become the track nerd that I am today, and hope to be at my journey's end whenever that be. Yeah, I think we covered a pretty good amount of ground today. I would like to give you an opportunity as well to give us an important life update, because not only are you coaching, not only have you found this new state of unretiredness with the sport, but tell us about your relationship status, Mr. Tindale.
Yeah, thanks, Carson. Yeah, my wonderful and beautiful fiance and I, her name is Grace. We're getting married this summer, so
congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man. We're really excited for all God has in store for us in this next journey, no doubt.
And I see that, she's actually started up her own local business. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, she is a creative at heart, and so everything related to creating is up her alley. And so she is starting her own leather goods business, and right now she's in the process of creating some really cool handbags and some wallets as well. And so the name of her brand is De Lucia Studios. I'm sure we could link it somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
But she's in the process of starting her first official drop where people can buy the bags online, and she'll ship them out. So that's her passion, and that's in a way her calling. And for her, I don't want to speak for her, but I know it's a way that she gets to serve the community as well by giving them things that they need to do everyday living. So I'm really proud of her.
And also to glorify God for the talents and gifts that he's given her, just like you with running, right?
You said it, man.
Mm-hmm. One last question for you.
Sure.
While you're still 23, LeBron or Jordan?
LeBron or Jordan? Well, what about Kobe, because I'm about to be 24? Does that...
There's not really a Kobe or, though, in my opinion, for 24.
No, I don't think so either. Man, I would say LeBron over the last few years has proven to me and kind of finalized the deal in terms of like longevity in the sport. Like LeBron. Yeah.
If you weren't a Duke guy, would your answer be different?
Well, it's tough you bring that up to me now because they had a really devastating loss on Friday over there. If I was not a Duke fan, what I think, if I was an Ohio State fan, I guess he was going to go to Ohio State. I don't know. No. I think the same.
Okay. We will agree to disagree on that.
Okay. You tell me. Yeah, talk to me.
Let us know down in the comments what you think and what you thought of this episode. We hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Follow the podcast on Instagram at InfoStride Podcast. Noah, you got any other information that you'd like to leave us with before we wrap today?
Like, comment, subscribe, give Carson a high five when you see him. He needs your encouragement. He encourages you guys a lot, so make sure to tell him thanks.
I got to be the hype man wearing when it matters. All right, Noah, thanks so much for coming on. Happy birthday, man.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for everything.
Yes, sir.